start when I'm thinking of an idea, where I'm coming up with the idea. It's a very instinctual process. A lot of it comes from my like an emotional event or catalyst, and I describe it using, because I'm a big journalist, in terms of writing a journal, not the journalist. I describe it in terms of like visual analogies, but once like I've made that concept has come into life and I'm starting to expand on it, I think I'm actually quite a logical person. One of my strengths is problem solving, so I come out about it from a lot of different perspectives. It's like, oh, this might work, this might work, this might work, this might not work, but let's try it anyway. So it actually, I have a few scientist friends who said that I do actually go about it very much like a scientist would when I'm doing my experiments and trying to figure out the best way to kind of bring the vision that I want to create to life.
In our discussions, we will also invited local creatives to share their enthusiasm and their excitement about this medium. They will talk about their understanding and their perspective for how glass art is being represented in our society. In our pilot video, I'm very happy to introduce you a young glass artist from Australia, Qin. In her video, she talks about her journey and her affinity with glass. We hope you enjoy the video, and thank you for taking the time to know art class.
Good. I just want to say thank you so much for accepting our program. As Morris said, this is the very first time we are trying to do something like this in Hong Kong, trying to promote glass art. So by accepting our invitation, you are actually our very, very first guest. So I'm very honored to do this dialogue with you, and I'm happy that Dominic is here. Dominic, as Morris introduced, is an architect working in Hong Kong for quite some time. As I mentioned to you before, we will have a dialogue with the creative local. We're trying to bring you and your glass work to our community. So we'll start introducing to our guest, Nancy Qin Yu. Maybe you can talk about yourself with us just very quickly.
So I go by my artist handle, NC Chen. I've been working with glass for 7-8 years now, including when I was studying. And yeah, I've created a body of work after, I think, 3 years out of uni that I've started to feel like proud of the body of work I was making after that. And a lot of it draws from my Chinese heritage, mythology, history, and kind of like the human condition as well. So that's me.
Do you want to be, to have any geographical focus like in Asia, in China, or basically you want to be an international artist?
I would like to be, I guess I've always envisioned myself working towards being an international artist, even though I draw a lot from my Chinese heritage and those stories that come from that heritage. But I feel like ultimately I'm talking about the human condition, and everyone can relate to that in some capacity. Yeah. So even though I'm coming from one particular perspective as someone of Asian descent and a female artist, I feel like what I'm commenting can be related to the majority of the audience around the world.
Very interestingly, you talk about Chinese impact on your artistic development. Now, people often talk about that, but how does exactly Chinese impact is perceived for an artist in terms of the international artistic development? People use that kind of explanation, but actually, what is it?
I think for me, I work with very specific kind of stories. So for example, I have a series I'm currently working on, a suit of glass armor actually. And there's two characters I'm focusing on in this artwork. One is Guan Yu and the other is Zhang Fei during the Three Kingdom period. Now, the reason why I decided to choose those two characters is because what they represent to me, and the artwork. So the entire suit of glass armor is centered around the idea of pride and ego and striving for an ideal, and that ideal sometimes being a burden in which we find is really heavy to carry. So the reason why I chose Guan Yu is because for me, his character is about pride, and he eventually fell down to pride. And with Zhang Fei, what he represents to me is anger and wrath, because he eventually, his downfall was about that too, when he was like abusing his men and they mutinied against him. So I feel like what I'm doing is taking these very specific stories, and his events in history, events in mythology, and giving them a contemporary twist or reading and putting them into my art further.
Now, do you think as an artist for your career development, you have to change, evolve, or actually you can do the same thing forever, but in a better way? So how do you see this kind of route?
I've seen both artist types, where they're artists who kind of do the same thing over and over, and they're artists who changes their style or technique every like, or even like theme, every couple of years. And I think there is no right answer about it. It's which path is more suited to you, what you want to explore as an artist, because I think they're both valid. But like, I can't see myself as an artist who sticks with making the same thing over and over again, because for me, I would be too bored. But there are artists who do amazing work, and they're constantly pushing their techniques and material. And while the change is incremental, but each piece is finished to perfection. I think it depends on the person themselves. With me, I like to be like more adventurous with my thing, and that's how I am as a person. There's a lot of themes I want to explore. There's just never enough time on earth to explore all the things I want to explore. So for me, I have like so many ideas that I have in my little notebook, that I still want to explore, and project I still want to do that I've been talking about for years now. But there's just been other projects coming up. So I think it really, there isn't a right answer to being one artist or the other, but like there are criticisms like that. But I think as an artist, you have to ignore those criticisms and choose the path that's right.